Welcome back to another episode of It's Time for Beer. I'm your host, Brandon. Today I'm going to be reviewing Newcastle Brown Ale. It comes in bottles, on draft, and in cans, at least in limited areas. It's 4.7% alcohol by volume, and it ranges in price from $11.99 all the way up to $16.59 for a 12-pack. I'm going to let you know how it looks, smells, and tastes, and I'm going to tell you whether it's worth your money. Newcastle Brown Ale was originally created by Colonel J. Porter in 1925, but it took until 1927 to perfect the recipe. Currently, Newcastle is being brewed by Heineken International. At times, over half of the brewery's output is directed overseas to the U.S. The beer is a medium amber color, and depending on how vigorously you pour the beer, the head will be somewhere between non-existent and one pinky finger. But it only sticks around for about 3 minutes anyway, and then it dissipates. The first thing I notice is that there's almost no hop character whatsoever. Nearly all of the hop character is probably going to be in the bitterness. It definitely has that signature fruity characteristic of English brown ales. There's a nice malt sweetness, but nothing too over the top. And there's a light breadiness that evens out the malt sweetness. Cheers. There's no alcohol aroma or flavor in this, and at 4.7%, I wouldn't expect there to be. There's that pronounced English fruitiness as soon as that beer hits your tongue. And the hop character that I was assuming was going to be in the bitterness is definitely all in the bitterness. And the bitter aftertaste that you get from that, it only hangs around for about a minute and dissipates, so it's nothing very harsh. Now what I noticed is there's none of that import clear bottle skunkiness that I've experienced with this beer in the past. This beer was on sale at Bilo for the first time in recent memory for $12.99. That's down from its normal price of $16.59. I just can't see myself paying nearly $18 after tax for the regular grocery store price. Not when the normal price at my local beer and wine store is $11.99. I feel that since there's such a wide price range for this beer, if your heart is dead set on Newcastle, seek out the best price. Don't just lay down the nearly $18 at the first place you stop when it can be found much cheaper at another store. So, is it worth the money? If we're basing this on the low end of the price spectrum, then yes. But if we're basing this on the upper or even the middle end of the price range, then most certainly not. This is just too overpriced for what it's delivering to the senses. I feel that the flavors and aromas are so light that this beer just isn't bringing much to the table. This is what I picture an English equivalent to a Budweiser looking like, mass marketing wise, except that it actually tastes decent. If I'm going to spend nearly $18 on a 12-pack of anything, it's going to be something like Sam Adams, or something that I can sit back and relax and have one or two of and be completely satisfied. This just doesn't give me that sense of satisfaction. This almost feels like a novelty beer to me. For example, I'd bring this to a party or gathering or whatever because I'm trying to make a statement. It says, "Look at me, I'm sophisticated because I drink import beer." While everyone else is downing BMC beers, I'm sipping on Newcastle. I'm sipping, mostly because it's too expensive to chug. It's also a good conversation starter though. I went to a party a couple weeks ago and many of the guests began asking me about the beer when the conversation eventually migrated to other topics. So if you're interested in the social interaction aspect of this beer, then you might be willing to fork out the extra cash, but I guess that's for you to decide. A point of advice when buying this beer, I've always complained that Newcastle occasionally has the clear bottle import skunkiness like Heineken and Corona. But as long as you don't buy a single off the shelf, of a store that leaves the bottles sitting with bright fluorescent lights blaring down on them all day, then you won't have to worry about that. Always buy the 12-pack of bottles or get it in cans, and it's unlikely that this skunkiness will be a problem because the beer is being protected from the light. So remember, drink what you like, enjoy what you drink, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.